Listen, the first few times I tried to use business policies, I completely failed. I made a mess of my listings and I just said, to heck with it. I'm not doing this anymore. Hey guys, it's Kaylee. I am back with a highly requested video, which is all about eBay business policies. Now, if you're like me and eBay business policies seem really daunting, or maybe you've tried it once or twice and you can't figure it out, listen, this is the video for you. Today, we're gonna go over what are business policies briefly, how to set up business policies on eBay, and also how to manage them once they are set. And if you couldn't figure this out on your own, don't feel bad. I took one of my reselling friends to reach out to me on the phone and actually walk me through the whole process. Once I actually was walked through it, I was like, oh, this is actually really easy. I don't know why I didn't get this in the first place. So shout out to Lynn. I will put her Instagram up here if you guys want to go follow her. But yeah, thank you so much, Lynn. Isn't it so great to have reseller friends? All right, so I'm going to walk you through this kind of the same way she walked me through it, and then add little bits of information that have really helped me along the way and kind of things that I have figured out. So first, let's start with what are eBay business policies. And in my own words, they're just basically templates for things that you frequently use in your listings. So there's a template for payment policies, there's a template for returns, and there's a template for shipping. And the important thing to know is that when you decide to opt into business policies, which by the way, the first time you click into it, you probably will have to opt in, but don't worry, you can always opt out. If you decide to opt in to business policies, you have to commit to having all three business policies. You can't choose to just have, the payment policy, but then choose to do shipping the way you've always done it in listings. You have to commit to doing all of them. So they're essentially templates of sorts. So for instance, if in all of your listings, you tend to offer a Grand Advantage option and a padded flat rate option for your shipping, then instead of having to click on those two options every single time, you'll just have to click on one drop down once you create that business policy. It basically consolidates the information so that you don't have to continuously type it or select it. So if you're intrigued and you want to set up business policy still, then follow along the step-by-step tutorial. So you're going to go to your eBay Seller Hub, to your listings, and then if you scroll down, you're going to see something called settings, and you can click on your business policies. I'm pretty sure the first time I did this, I had to opt into it. So go ahead and opt into the business policies, and don't forget you can always opt out. Once you commit to doing this, it's really important to kind of go through the whole process, because if you start and stop, it kind of muddies the waters a little bit and it's not going to be as seamless as a transition as you're going to want. So sit down and complete the whole process. So your screen is not going to look like this because you don't have policy set up yet. But what I want you to do is go to Create Policy and create a payment policy. You will want to name your policy something that you're going to be able to tell that it is your policy. So you can create a policy and eBay will also automatically create policies for you. Theirs have a bunch of different random words and letters sometimes. So as long as you name yours something, you're going to be able to tell the difference between yours and theirs. I personally just name mine the same as the store, but you can choose to do whatever. So for me, I'm going to type well-traveled payment policy. The description's not necessary, but you can put that there if you would like. You can also set it up as a default. And for most of us, the only option is going to be require immediate payment when buyer uses buy it now. You're more than likely not going to be using these, and I don't suggest that you do if you are selling clothing. So you're going to save. Okay, so after that's done, you're going to be able to see your payment policy right here. Now you're going to want to open up a new tab, keep this one open, and go back to your Seller Hub. Go to Active Listings. And you're going to want to select as many listings as possible. So you can either do the check all box, or if you're like me and you have more than 200, you can click Edit and grab a bulk amount. This is going to take you into the bulk editor. If you do not have an eBay store, I'm not sure if you are going to have this option available, but for those of you that do have a store, this should work just fine to use the bulk editor. If you don't have a store, drop a comment down below. Let me know if it's letting you use the bulk editor. So once those listings have processed, you want to select them all in the bulk editor, go to bulk edit, scroll down to preferences and select payment policy. You're going to change your payment policy to the one that you named, hit save, and apply. From here, you will submit all. So what this is doing is applying your new payment policy in bulk to those listings. Once you do this, eBay is going to start calculating other policies that you have and start creating them for you by default on your business page. So you're going to start seeing random ones popping up for every single selection that you could possibly have. It's going to make a policy for it on your business policies page. Now remember, we have 3 types. We have payment policy, which is what you just created, a returns policy, and by the way, you can have more than one, and then shipping policies. Now that you've done that and set into motion, eBay starting to gather that data for you, you can go back to your tab that has your business policies and refresh the page. You're probably going to start seeing a bunch of different policies pop up, so don't freak out. Before we do anything, we want to go ahead and create the rest of our policies. So you've already got one for your payment. You're also going to want to create one for a return. It's up to you what you want your returns to be. I personally only use free returns, but you could set up multiple policies just in case you have some that you wanted to offer returns on or some that you didn't. So go ahead and create a or multiple return policies and make sure to name them the same way that you named your payment. You can see kind of how I named mine here. Next, you're going to want to create your shipping policies. This is kind of what it looks like on the back end. I personally choose to offer 2 types of shipping to my buyer because since Ground Advantage replaced First Class, sometimes it's cheaper to ship Ground Advantage and sometimes it's cheaper to ship Priority Mail. So I just go ahead and offer both, and then my buyer can choose how quickly they want the item shipped to them, and it also gives them the option to select the cheapest. So here I named mine Ground Advantage plus padded flat rate because I want to offer both Ground Advantage and padded flat rate. You could just choose to do one service. You don't have to do multiple like I'm doing. So here I've selected Ground Advantage and I added a second option and added the priority padded flat rate envelope. My handling time is 1 business day, and eBay automatically opts me into their international shipping, and I choose not to ship internationally directly. From here, I'm going to hit save. And because not everything is going to fit in a padded flat rate for me, I also want to have another shipping option where I can just put it in any packaging and ship by regular priority mail by weight and distance. So here is what that policy looks like, and you can see I've added a policy description as well. So once you've covered those 3 policies, remember we have to have a payment policy, a return policy, and also some kind of a shipping policy. Most people will have multiples within those depending on how you want to run your business. But once you have all of those set up with every option you think you might use, this is when the cleanup begins. So right now you've created your policies, and eBay is also creating policies based on what you already have listed. So you're going to start seeing a bunch of random policies start popping up that eBay has created for you based on what you already have. Your goal is going to be to clear up all of the eBay policies that they are defaulting and making for you and only end up with your policies. You can do this using a really easy function in business policies where you basically just tell eBay to dump one from one policy and put it into yours. I'll show you how it works. So you can see I have a couple of eBay's randomly generated policies here that is due to a multitude of things. Maybe, I had some listings that kind of slipped through the cracks. Maybe I had a return come through that happened, after I made these policies. But either way, I check on this screen probably a couple times a month, and I just make sure to clean everything up. There is a button called Cleanup Policies. I have never used it. I would personally just skip this and just manually do it yourself. It's super easy. So you can see it tells you here what type of policy it is. So we can see I've got an eBay generated one for shipping, and I have an eBay generated one for payment. And over here, we can also see how many listings are falling into that policy. So the thing that makes it super easy is you just click on this little arrow drop down and go to change policy for these listings. From here, you are going to tell eBay where you want to dump those listings from the eBay generated ones and throw them into one of your policies. By doing this, it's going to edit all of those active listings to your new business policy. You can see this is one that is still classified under First Class. We don't even offer First Class now, so this is now Ground Advantage. So I'm just going to take this, I'm going to change the policy for this, and I am going to put this into my Ground Advantage and padded flat rate option. and I'm going to hit change. I'm going to do the same thing with my payment. I'm going to change the policy for the listing and put it onto my named policy and hit change. Refresh the page. From here, you can see the update is in progress. Hopefully when you refresh the page and it says updated successfully, this number becomes 0, and then you'll be able to actually delete both of those policies once they reach 0. If everything did go successfully and update and dump into your policies, then this listing number will end up being 0. From here, you can go ahead and delete your policies. And eventually you end up with just your created policies. So here's what this looks like inside of a draft. Now when I fill out my draft and go to the shipping area, I should only have 1, 2, or however many drop downs that I created policies for. So then you simply select which one you need and move on with the listing. So that is how to create your business policies and clean everything up so that is just your policies. Now let's talk about how to manage these business policies as well as some troubleshooting. When you are doing the dumping method, when you are taking all of the listings from eBay's policy and dumping them into yours, sometimes that number will not always reach 0 and change those listings for you. If that happens, then you can just manually go to the right of that number, click View Listings. It'll pull everything up for you in a new page, and you can either change them one by one or bulk edit them right there. Unfortunately, I don't know why this happens, but I do know that if I go in and I manually edit each listing for the correct policies, then it fixes it. And when I refresh the business policies page, that number does eventually go to 0. So if you're having that trouble, click on the right hand of those numbers and manually edit those listings. Some other common problems you might run into when you switch to business policies is that you're not thinking about everything that is in your drafts or that might be in your scheduled. From what I can tell, this really only edits your active listings. So if you've got anything in drafts or in scheduled, it might take a little bit of time for those to be set active and then end up having to dump those into your policy. And occasionally, for whatever reason, there just ends up being a couple that slip through the cracks, like you saw here on my screen. So right after you switch business policies, I would recommend going in probably daily just to clean everything up. Then after that, you can switch to weekly and then probably monthly. But you want to keep up with it in the beginning because you don't want eBay to generate a bunch of policies and become super overwhelmed when it comes time to clean them up. So I recommend checking very frequently in the beginning, then after you've got it down, maybe just once or twice a month. All right, guys, so that is how to use eBay business policies. I hope that I made it a little bit more understandable for you and a little bit more usable. Switching to business policies has provided ease of use for my business, and it saved me a ton of time. I'm really glad that I took the time to transition over and learn how to do it correctly. If you guys want to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe down below and hit that notification bell. You'll be notified every single time I post these videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.